Young lady for the,
So long.
I'm having fun with you because you told me not to pick on you.
I know.
What time did the meeting start?
7:01, Merle.
Thank you.
We're on,
I just turned it on, that's
it's okay. This gentleman corrected me on the time last week, and so I have to get on his time now. But we're good.
We're on Dunbarton.
All right, we have a busy meeting tonight. We're gonna start with some old business, the minutes. So let's get that going.
I'll make a motion that we approve the regular meeting minutes from June 15th, 2017.
I'll second that.
Any discussion on the minutes at all? Did everyone have a chance to see them? Yes?
I did, yep.
The minutes here.
Dave has them, right? Dave, do you have minutes?
I can come back on.
They're in this file. Okay.
Everything was in order,
Yep.
but all the, and look for flags.
Flags, yes.
No,
I'm sure they are.
Yes, we have minutes.
no?
No? Okay, well, we will sign as we find them.
Okay, let me go get them. You don't have them, Dave?
No, what about, there's lots of flags in that pile there, you got them mixed in?
It's the Primex.
Yeah.
That's that. Oh, that's that.
They were all on the top too at one time.
Minutes.
It's this, all right, this is my paper right there.
That's correct. Okay, we're waiting on the minutes to be signed. Please stand by.
Well, we can go on to the other
Okay.
section.
Well, all in favor of approving the minutes as we reviewed?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Now we're on to the workshop minutes.
And I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of June 21st, the workshop.
And I'll second that.
Right in the basket.
And I just wanted to make this is in the discussion section, I wanna make a correction that, for the record. I made a comment, how, thing is, we were talking about the town clerk, and I made a suggestion that the town clerk could become an employee and be applicable to all the benefits and pay structures of the town. And according to RSA, I found out that this town, as a small town, cannot do it. Only in cities with a different form of government, we can actually have an appointed town clerk. It doesn't work for Dunbarton. So I just wanna make that a point of order, because of those minutes, I do make reference to that, and I was wrong in the way I made that comment.
Okay.
Okay, any further discussion on those minutes?
None.
All in favor?
Aye.
Linda, I did make that just to let
Thank you, I was gonna, that was on my list of things to point out to you, so
Okay.
thank you.
Well, I think
It's not an option, I guess, for towns, but you were thinking outside the box, and
we
that was
were,
great.
we were. Okay, and we have one more.
I'll make a motion for the, special non-public meeting minutes of June 21st to be approved as written.
And I'll second that.
Any discussion on those minutes?
Those minutes wanna be sealed?
No, it's essentially an appointment action.
All right.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. And it's just to let you know, the physical, they all passed physicals, they were subject to, those new employees were subject to passing physicals, they all
Yep,
did.
yep.
And so we are good to go with those new employees for the transfer station.
I just signed this one, David. Is this the one?
No,
This is Bob's, who sorts this.
Yeah, I did.
the transfer,
I
okay.
did. I signed this one, he's gotta sign it.
I'm good, I signed them all.
Try not to pick on it.
I know, it's all right.
It's very difficult.
Yeah, he makes it hard, doesn't he?
Get more, Bob.
I'll get Corin to sign those, so it gets better.
We're in a public comment.
Yes. Okay, I'm gonna open up the public comment. I'll start with, all right?
No, we don't have somebody taking minutes tonight, so they're gonna be using the recording, so just make sure to state your name first for us.
Absolutely, I can come right up. Linda Landry, Town Clerk. And what I'm bringing to you tonight, since you brought up the workshop meeting, that's exactly what I was gonna talk to you, so thank you for taking care of that one point.
Okay,
During the discussion as to whether or not the town clerk qualifies for longevity, Selectman Nault suggested a review of the minutes from the 2007 town meeting to see how the voters accepted it. And the quote from the town administrator is, "We have the minutes, but keep in mind too, it could be construed as a conflict. She wrote the minutes for that particular town meeting, which was her job." In February 7th at a workshop meeting, Selectman Martell referenced the minutes to the 2007 meeting. And the town administrator said, "Can I just say too, though, that the person who typed those minutes was the person that was on that warrant, and that could be construed as a conflict. I'm just gonna throw it out there because it's true. If you have an audio recording of it, it might be something different that, you could listen to." I'm here not to slam an employee, but to defend the fact that twice there was a very serious implication, close to an accusation, that I altered minutes to my own advantage. I was exceptionally careful when I did those minutes of that meeting, to the point where it is darn near a transcript of what happened. That to imply that I did anything but could cause me to be removed from this position. That was an unfounded statement, nothing to back it. I gave Selectman Martell the cassette tape. We did not have a digital recorder in 2007, and I don't know if he had a chance to listen to it, but he did mention at one of those meetings that it was a fair assessment of what happened. I think that the Board of Selectmen should take steps to see to it that such unfounded accusations don't happen again. This is my reputation that has been tarnished. I don't know offhand how many views there were on YouTube, but that seed has been planted not once, but twice that I can document, and I really haven't got the time or the inclination to research it further. And it's not a discussion about anything other than that. I'm not looking for a response, I'm just looking to make the statement.
so noted.
Thank you. The only other thing I have for you tonight is I got a request from the town administrator regarding the appointment to the Central New Hampshire Regional Planning Commission.
Mm-hmm.
The request that I got asked for an appointment to the executive committee. So I did a little research, and just to educate you, because I got an education from a wonderful gentleman there named Mike Tardif. The executive board is appointed from the members, not by the selectmen. So in other words, the planning board makes the recommendation to the selectmen. The selectmen make the appointment, in this case, it's to Ken Swayze and George Holt. So here are the papers for you to sign, but you'll note that it does not say executive committee, because that comes within the Central New Hampshire Regional Planning Commission's full commission members.
I wanna get that straight, he's being appointed to that committee to represent Dunbarton, the commission.
Correct, we have up to two
Correct.
representatives, right, but not to the executive committee, because that
Is
appointment
internal.
is in, thank you, that's the word. So these are for you to sign.
Great,
And there's the statute that covers that appointment,
Okay.
just for your future
That was
reference.
the correct process though, right, to ask you to draw
Absolutely,
appointments?
yeah,
Okay,
it was.
okay.
okay.
And I did check with Steve Warren, who was putting the minutes together from the planning board meeting, and confirmed that there was a discussion centering on Ken Swayze and George Holt being appointed to the commission. So we are good with that.
So the two names. We're gonna read this and make a vote on it tonight.
And that's all I got,
Thank
besides,
you.
it's
We'll get
the
these
end
to
of-
you, we'll get these to you, and then we can swear them in.
Perfect, thank you.
Yep.
And I'm still working on registrations. It's the end of the state's fiscal year, so
It's crazy for you.
I gotta do a full inventory after I close out, so,
Okay, thanks.
thank you.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So we're gonna take this up later.
Yeah. We'll take it up at the end of the meeting, so we'll.
Okay.
All right, at the end of our agenda.
Put that right there. Okay,
So now we're in the middle of public comments still,
Yep.
right?
Chief, you're gonna be up next, but public comment now,
I'm good, thanks.
okay? Public comment, sir.
So,
Ron Slocum, Tenny Hill Road. Just follow up on something that David Null mentioned a few minutes ago, and I've seen in the minutes recently, if you're going to seal the non-public minutes, it
Yes,
has to be by motion. Lately, all I've seen in the minutes is, oh, we agree these should be sealed. There's been no actual motion in voting on making them sealed. It's just been a statement of, we think these should be sealed. I just wanted to see what the correct policy practice should
the
be for
policy
that.
is, before we get to the meeting, we're reviewing the minutes, it should be decided in the non-public whether they should be sealed or not, before we leave non-public. So the thing is, he made a statement out of, I would say, sequence, because he was wondering if they should be sealed or not. If they should have been sealed, we should have made that motion in the non-public session at that time.
Should that have been made in the non-public session, or should it be made in the public session when you're approving the
I
minutes?
think it should.
Do you
when
actually
come
have
out-
two motions?
Okay.
Twice,
When we,
in that
yeah,
case.
but we did not, and the thing is, these particular minutes did
No,
not.
I'm referring to, it was just what David said earlier triggered me. When I went back through past meeting minutes for the Board of Selectmen,
Gotcha.
Yeah.
there have been several cases in the past where there's been nothing more than a statement, we think these should be sealed.
Which is, not-
There has been no official motion and vote to say seal the minutes.
So
I was
that's,
just trying to
is
clarify
that
what
minutes
is the
you're
correct
reading,
practice.
is that what it is? The
Hmm?
minutes you're reading or an audio recording that you're viewing?
I'm reading the minutes.
I'm
Hey,
not
Ron, just so we're clear, on a couple of those, I was not clear on the procedure. I followed up with New Hampshire Regional Planning, and we got the timeline that we have to seal those. So now, we're actually, when we seal them, we're sealing them at that meeting and we come out of non-public. So we did do a few of those as kind of a delayed sealing, and we
Okay.
have corrected that since.
Yeah,
So-
it's just like I said, I was just trying to understand what the practice. 'cause
Yeah,
I
let you
in the
know, I
past,
did
It's
research
always been an
that.
official motion and a vote in the public meeting to
as we
seal
come out of it,
non-public
yes.
minutes.
And it should have been done,
Yeah.
it should be done before we get to this point, like today.
Right.
And so, hate to say it, Dave's suggestion here, I should
Yeah.
appropriately chastise him a little bit, because if they were gonna be non-public, we should have discussed it way back then.
I wanted to make sure you didn't mess up.
But then on the other hand, when we're reviewing the minutes, we have to make sure that that end piece, which kind of gets redundant sometimes, is actually worded properly, because we don't record the non-public, so it's possible that it was done properly, but I didn't catch,
Then that have to be documented in the minutes too.
you know.
I think the questions have come up before, but I don't ever recall having to vote on something where we said they didn't have, I know, because several times they've asked, talking about sealing the minutes, remember I said to Brian,
Yeah.
I don't understand why we're sealing the minutes, and so we didn't. So
Okay.
I don't know if that's confusing it, but.
Because you don't always have to seal them, but if it has something
No,
to
you
do with
don't.
an employee or somebody's reputation, then generally we do.
Yeah, no, I understand there are legitimate cases they should be sealed and some they shouldn't. I was just trying to clarify, what is the process for sealing them? Is it by just a statement, by the selectmen saying that, or should it be by an official motion and roll call vote? And should that be done in the public or the non-public session that you seal the minutes?
I think we only have to come up with an agreement to seal them, but then when we seal them from reading the RSA, we all sign across them sign right across the tape copy, so they are sealed at that time.
I
Okay.
think it's a motion, but it's when you come out
It is a
of,
motion.
in the
yeah.
public session, to say that we made a motion to seal the minutes. And I'm not sure
Yeah,
if it's.
because in public, you have to state anything that you decided upon in a
Right.
non-public.
So noted, we will pay attention to
Okay.
it for the future, to make sure we're
I'm kind of a stickler that way for some of these
Yeah,
details.
so noted.
We did have some of the
Appropriate.
details at the beginning, you
Yeah.
know, a couple of new selectmen here, learning as we go too, so
Yeah, I understand.
I don't mind saying that. And
Thank you, Ron. And sir? Mert, anything?
No.
Okay. Just for the record, Mert's doing the recording tonight. Thank you, Mert. Okay. Chief, I'm gonna call you right up. Let's get right to business. You get some backup support.
I have Trustee Sergeant Remillard.
OHRV grant is there, and they're looking for the board to approve that and sign it, the packet right there.
Mhm.
Chief, I wanna commend you on your award that you got.
Oh, thank you.
For the children there, and all
Thank
the
you
work
very
you do down there with the children, I think it's pretty important to get the young people, interested in, you know, being able to talk with a police officer and not be scared of them, so I commend you on that.
Thank you very much.
Floor is yours, sir. First of all, we can go through the grant first.
Yes,
Let's hit the grant first.
the grant is routine, it's the same as we had submitted last year in 2012. What it is, it's an enforcement grant for us to go to, well, to enforce OHRV law over the course of the next grant period.
Chief, I understood it a lot better after reading your letter today. When we originally got this and reading it, it looked almost like, to us, selectmen being brand new, it was a brand new grant coming from the state. And it didn't seem like something that we thought our officers had time to do with all the other stuff they have going on with the out-of-town, you know,
My question was,
patrols and stuff.
on your explanation, you said the town receives a net gain of police coverage in Dunbarton through this grant.
Yes,
An increase.
yes.
Do we need the increase?
If you want the enforcement done on the OHRV part and some of those other complaints.
How many
Yeah,
officers do you normally have patrolling on any, I thought you said you normally two,
Two, yeah, when we're fully staffed, we usually have two on most days.
during the daylight hours, you might say during the working day.
Well, it depends.
Okay, it's
actually-
you get 10-hour shifts,
If you'd like to look over here,
yeah,
you see the note that says staffing?
yeah,
That's what a normal week looks like for us.
Monday
You
through
see
Friday.
Up at the top there,
Yeah.
Sunday is staffed with one part-time officer
Yeah.
during the day. During the week, it's usually me as the full-time officer and Laura Caterbrigger is the detective.
Okay,
Saturday, day shift, we staff with one part-time officer. And then during the evening, Sunday is one full-time officer, and it's two full-time officers during the week. And then Friday and Saturday evening, we staff with a full-time and a part-time officer, provided all the shifts are covered.
okay.
That's what our normal staffing looks like.
So the thing is, by adding this grant, what are we getting out of this? You adding a third officer to the shift, or?
We're not adding anybody to the shift really. What you're doing is you're taking people and you're targeting a problem. We apply for that grant because we have an OHRV riding area
Okay.
in town, and with it comes some problems. So the days that we go down there, we can interact with the public. We do inspections on vehicles and
So that it's normally included as part of your shift. The beauty of,
well,
that's what I'm asking, because you're not expanding the shifts, correct?
expand.
In other words, you say we have a net gain of police coverage.
Yes.
So if there's only two officers, let's say two officers on working during the day,
Yes.
all I'm seeing is, the beauty of this, I'm seeing is that some of the normal shift work is being covered by the grant. See if we can money
Well,
to the town.
No.
Not exactly. The two office, well, we usually go on a Saturday or a Sunday. There's one officer assigned. We send the officers down there in pairs to do the grant patrols.
Okay,
So on those particular days, there's actually 3 people during that time span.
that's what I was getting to.
Okay.
You are expanding the shift a little bit, you added a third
Yeah, we
officer.
are. Those 2 additional officers are targeted at OHRV enforcement.
Exactly,
That's their purpose.
and that's where you get quote unquote expanded
That's where,
coverage.
that's where we get the extra coverage.
Okay,
Because we don't have money for that otherwise, so, you know, it would be just part of a routine patrol. Somebody might drive through there, wave to everybody and leave, see a problem, address the problem, leave, but there's nobody down there for a 4-hour block.
are you pairing an officer in, two officers in one vehicle then, or you have separate vehicles?
How do we,
It's 2 officers, 1 vehicle, and we go down to the park in pairs.
Okay,
Chris manages he's really the one who manages the grants.
Okay. gentlemen, any further questions on the frame?
Well, no, because I read your explanation that we got today too, and my concern would have been just for overall coverage in the town, but it doesn't impact the town. So the only other question I have is, does the administrative fee that the town received cover any incidentals, the social security or?
Yeah, I
And
think we
Medicare.
have, I think it's attached to that OHRV, the spreadsheet that says we probably have excess of like $3,000 or $4,000 that we've collected that just goes into the general fund?
Yep. That fee that you got, the administrative fee, we only have one officer who gets retirement out of that, and he very rarely works details. So when we have part-time officers who work there, or even any of the full-timers, when they work there, it's basically, you get your social security stuff, but there's no additional, retirement that comes out of there, so.
Yeah, I'm looking at, you know, the monies you collect, as long as they address those concerns that the town has to bear, you know? Because I don't see a problem.
It's in the mailer folder on the
I think
spreadsheet.
Lean can tell you
Right there, that spreadsheet.
where
I
we
think.
stand, you know, with our, payments that we have to make for the fringe benefits
The last page.
versus what we take in. She'd probably be your expert on where that stands.
And that was, I think, for just this calendar year or last, so, for the most part, we always have
So
extra,
it's
additional
almost, it's
revenue.
a little bit of a surplus for the town then.
Correct,
So it
yeah.
really doesn't, it basically allows a little more coverage in the areas where we normally don't have but one officer, but we have two officers who can patrol that down there. Correct. And it provides a few dollars for the town. We're talking about not much, $2,000, but it's still $2,000. So it's a net, we're not losing any money on this deal.
I guess that's the only concern I would have had.
There's some other things that, you know, to bear in mind with the Hopkinton Everett riding area. On a weekend that we typically target, the grant period runs from September to June. And we strategically pick our grant period. You'll see up there that we only have 4 patrols in that entire span of months. So we typically pick Labor Day, Memorial Day, opening park weekend, times where there's literally hundreds upon hundreds of people coming in and out of that park on any given weekend. You know, I tallied up our results from this past grant period. We had 300 OHRV checks, which is essentially checking for equipment compliance, registration compliance, and I believe only 4 warnings had to be issued. So the compliance rate, as far as people following the law, is very high. But there's also a huge public relations component. We get a lot of positive feedback from people saying, we're so glad to see you guys down here. You know, we have an opportunity to tell them about the town. You know, yeah, swing up the page, you need something to eat. You know, people will ask where the closest store is, stuff like that. It's really good public relations for our agency as well, and you can't really put a price tag on that.
And there's another benefit too, is by seeing the police down there, it kind of quells any feelings of lawlessness.
Keeps honest people honest.
Well, it keeps honest people honest, it keeps dishonest people wondering. Because, you know, there's not a sense of lawlessness down there, because they do see the police there.
Anything during the winter, does grant cover any of the winter months? Snowmobiles?
Technically it could, but where we don't have, you know, snow machines or anything like that to really get out on the trails, really what our focus is with the ATVs and the OHRVs
Okay.
is being down there during the warmer months, because typically that's also when we see it the busiest.
Okay.
I would say the ATV OHRV season is busier than the snowmobile season. Typically people go up towards Pittsburgh for that kind of stuff.
Were those minimum 4-hour patrols in there? I saw you wrote 3 hours.
So what they do is they give us, I forget what the actual total, I think $1,200 or $1,300. So the way we break it down, because Fish and Game has a set rate of $45 an hour, is we just take it so we can pair 2 officers together, because there is a lot of people down there, and for officer safety reasons we would like to have 2 people down there. And we just break it down into 4. So it's 4 3-hour patrols, and each patrol has 2 officers assigned to it.
Okay. On the grant, I have no other issues. Gentlemen, do you have any other issues?
I don't.
I don't, I'm glad you guys come in to explain it, because, you know, when you read it firsthand, reading their version of it, it looks a lot different to us as the people having to sign it. Now, after your review and your letter, it really helped explain, you know, where the coverages are, and make sure there's no additional draw or expenses, as you stated in your letter. The police officers that are working those would not be working for the town otherwise. So it gives them a chance to work and stay within our town and a grant.
Yeah, we get extra
So-
coverage and we don't pay for it.
Yeah, so, you know, in looking at it, I think it makes a lot of good sense, which we didn't have that, you know, aspect from you guys.
I like your emotion on the grant. We can
I'll
put this to
take-
bed tonight.
I'll I'll make a motion that we accept the grant from New Hampshire Fish and Game Department. In the amount of $1,080. And these funds must be used by June 30th, 2018.
I'll second.
Any further discussion on this grant?
I just wanna ask Chief, is that total correct, that amount of money?
It should be.
Okay. I think that's it.
The same as last year.
Hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
There's a lot of signing you'll have to.
Do I gotta sign the top corner of that?
No,
I already did.
I think it's signing
I'll
inside
get
the
it
side.
right now while I
Well,
go.
there's a lot of signing initially with the contract.
You won't go sign it.
I think they all have to sign it too, right? The initials on
I believe
all the
so,
pages.
Chief, I have some other questions, I don't think we don't have to talk about them now, I can talk to you offline about it, but it's more on details.
Okay.
The thing is, it's more minutia of education of me.
Okay.
It's just that, I looked at one of the statistics about, you talked about details of $18,000 we got in 2017.
Well, that's what we spent on replacement vehicles.
Okay, well, how much money, no, that's money did you contributed towards the.
Towards the paint, yes,
Right.
towards the vehicle.
$18,000, if I divide that by, it's $15 per hour to the town going towards that account.
Yes.
That's 158 hour shifts.
Yeah, it could be, but.
But those are details, I mean, that's almost more shifts than you can shake a stick, I mean, that's a lot of shifts.
It's not over the course of 1 year.
Okay.
There was a balance there from the previous year.
Uh,
They didn't, when they used it in, was it 2000?
16, yeah, another
16.
18,000.
They used part of it, there was a balance, because we didn't buy anything for a couple of years.
From 2013 to 2016.
See, in
Yeah.
2012, they did the 16,000. 2013, we didn't work a lot of details.
Right,
So that's why it was only 6,000 and change. We got nothing in 14 or 15, so when 2016 came around, there was a pretty sizable chunk of money in there.
No details at all in those 2 years?
Well, there were details, but
but
we didn't buy
spend
the
it.
vehicles.
Oh.
Those years we didn't replace vehicles, so
I see, so you
those are the
added
numbers
this
that
money.
represent the last 4 vehicles that we purchased. So there was a sizable amount of money that was there, so they used
Basically paid for
18,000.
2 vehicles.
Well, $18,000, and then there was money left over. Last year, Asplin was here, we worked a lot with Asplin, and, they took another 18,000 for that.
Looking at the average
Yeah.
cost for our vehicle that we paid for this year and dividing that 58,000, we paid for a couple of vehicles through that fund, it looks like to me.
We actually raised and appropriated from taxes, so,
No, I know that, I'm just taking the dollar amount.
yeah.
But I'd like to talk to you offline about this. I need to get into minutia. I just don't understand how we can spend, the numbers don't make sense, how we're spending so much, so we're sending so many officers out of Dunbarton to do work for other communities. And
Those opportunities just don't exist here except for last year.
right, but the thing is, maybe we have too many, if we're sending all these people out, maybe we don't need to have as many part-time officers.
Well, when we didn't have the part-time officers last year, we had filled shifts that weren't filled. In fact, in 2016, when we came in with our final budget, we anticipated not filling 2.5 shifts per month,
Because of lack,
because we didn't have the officers.
okay,
So we added 2 additional officers, we haven't had any shifts that have gone unfilled.
okay.
And as you can see in that activity chart, I listed all the employees, and you can see the number of details and the number of branch shifts that they work.
Right, but I have,
Since the beginning of this year.
all those details, the two top detail takers, you might say, 36 and 21, they're part-timers. Why we, don't they have, if you look down,
Okay,
thing is, you told me that, the thing is, all our part-timers have full-time jobs.
yeah.
And so, obviously, they're
No,
not,
with the exception of our newest guy, who's a full-time student.
okay,
So, 311 has worked here for many, many years.
okay,
You can see he's worked 17 shifts during the course of the year. He
right,
works nights, so he's available during the day. That's why he's able to work those
Gotcha.
details.
okay,
Now, the other officer is new, he's a college student, he got out of college, and he's just been working like crazy.
Okay.
He's on his summer break, so he can work.
Well, yeah, and he has a part-time job. He works
Rather than go, I'd rather just sit down.
Okay.
And I just need to be educated, so I can,
Okay.
the thing is, it's easy to come up here and criticize, but I don't wanna criticize, I wanna learn.
you're gonna criticize, I want you to be able to criticize on facts.
Yes.
And that's what we need to do.
And that's what I wanna do, so the thing is, I will hold any criticisms, and the thing is, I'll keep them constructive if I come up with any. And the thing is, I wanna learn before I open my mouth.
Are you gonna be around for coffee tomorrow?
Tomorrow may be tough, but the thing is,
Maybe
we'll
after.
make some time, I'll come down to your office if we have to. Okay, any other action, any other discussion for the police department?
I have,
I'm also,
I have something, we did work on some of the things that we talked about when I visited the police department there.
Yes.
And, we come up with some solutions, which I think we're gonna be working on tonight, at our, policies and procedures meeting there last week, where on the part-timers, if they're required to, or asked to work a holiday, they will be getting not a holiday pay per se, but 1.5 times their pay.
Okay.
So we weren't able to go full bore like a full-time employee, but we made up the difference, so it should be more worthwhile for them to work some of those shifts. Again, trying to get the part-timers mixed in on those holiday shifts, so your full-timers aren't being taxed, so we did work on those situations for you.
That'll come as very welcome news if that's the way it is.
It's on,
After our agenda tonight, you could probably announce it at your next,
I would hold off on that.
after our agenda tonight.
Wait till we approve it first.
Well, tonight it's on our agenda.
I know, but the thing is, I have some issues with that.
You do?
Yeah, I do.
You're the one that made the motion.
I do, but I'm gonna, not with the police department, with some other departments, how it would be applicable. I like to add some language to the personnel manual to make it more, add some clarity to it. It doesn't really affect you, it affects the entire town, the town of Dunbarton employees. But I think it's your dilemma of having no flexibility and no incentive for part-timers to work on holidays, kinda sucks.
Well, if I can just say that, I do the scheduling, I've done it for 5 years now. When it comes to holidays, generally, as you can see, we have 2 officers on at night, and that's just basically out of safety and necessity, just with the
Understood.
busyness. So what happens on a holiday is, with the chief having the day off, I generally drop back to day shift. I usually work evenings. What it does is it actually takes our coverage, putting me back on days, and then it puts 1 officer on night patrol instead of 2. So if there is that incentive for part-time officers to come in and maybe work the day shift, I can stay on evenings with the other officer.
Yep.
Because we kind of go backwards on holidays, which are typically busy.
With no incentive, it's kinda hard.
Absolutely, I can't blame them a bit.
So just,
Absolutely.
but
And
just make sure that you know that it's when they're requested to work those holidays. It's not like every holiday, every employee there, it's the
Right.
ones that are requested
Yeah,
to work.
the hours that they actually
Yeah.
work, yeah.
but the personnel policy that we're working on is a work in progress.
Yeah.
And we are gonna have another meeting, so if you're bringing anything up tonight, I would have to vote against it so that we actually have a chance to really go through, cause we didn't get much of an opportunity last time. And I'd like to be able to, to really focus on that in our next, workshop.
And just to let you know that your information chief on call, that's the type of information that's gonna bring clarity even more so to the personnel plan.
I think if we change the wording and not really call it on call, because really what it is the officer in charge.
Right, but the thing is, what we're looking at across the spectrum too.
Yeah.
And so the thing is, but this is helpful, and this is stuff we'll be using at the next, our
That was
next meeting.
very clarifying as well.
Okay,
You
good,
know, so-
I'm glad that you found it helpful.
We had some other people in the other departments that are, on call for snow and emergencies and that type of stuff, and we wanted to make sure if it was being done in one department, for a full-time employee, it was done in all departments. So that's why we were looking into that, but with your explanation on there, I don't think that may not be the case. So that was very clarifying.
Okay. That's all we got for you, chief.
Okay, well, that was easy.
Can I just, one more comment, just going back to the workshop minutes. You had the question, or you made a statement that this was given to all his officers. But
No.
did you clarify in your letter
Yeah,
that
he did
it's just for
clarify
the two?
exactly who it
Okay,
was.
all right,
I wasn't sure
Right.
who it was applying to.
Yep.
And he clarified it in his letter.
good, okay.
There's only 2.
Just so you understand, I wanted it to come from
And
you,
for
not me.
the record, your full name, officer?
Sergeant Chris Remillard, Dunbarton Police.
Okay.
Dan Sloot.
Just for the record, making minutes easier. I don't think
No,
you
that's
know
perfectly fine, no problem.
Okay, thank you.
There was also a question about whether or not we had our own personnel policy, and we don't. We have, personnel plan, we don't. We operate under the town's personnel plan. We do have policies and procedures, and our policies and procedures really reference the personnel plan.
And that's why we wanna make sure, as we write it, it's applicable to everybody, and it makes sense. And so that's why we're not gonna rush into it. There's some clarifying language needs to be done. Okay, you're all set?
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, since we're just talking about the workshop, I've just made this up. This is just a, these are some of the things I wanna, first of all,
No,
one,
this isn't following our agenda.
no, I'm
So
sorry.
I'm looking at it the same way.
It's okay, I'm going out of, it's my party to go out of, since we're talking about it.
You're the board here. You might be the chair of the board, but there's an agenda, when public comes here, they look to go down through this, these other things should be brought up at the end of the meeting.
Fine, I'll take it back. That's the way you wanna be, that's fine, I don't care.
I'm just saying, the public comes to some of these things, and as you see, they're leaving, so we should go through our agenda, when we get to this other stuff, we should be on it.
That's fine, Dave. You ready for the next item?
You couldn't read it, you want my copy?
No, I'm not, I'm just sitting here, just sitting fat, dumb and happy.
The next thing on the agenda is review the painting quotes for the town of Dunbarton office building.
Did you get an opportunity to review them any further? You asked for them to be mailed electronically to you.
I did not know.
Okay, well, the thing is, we realized, I think we came to the conclusion that we have to put out specifications for the library, because it was, the library was very complicated, very costly.
And it's over the amount, so.
And we don't have the money for it.
Yeah.
And we were comparing contracts with apples to oranges, and we have to make sure we have to set specifications down to exactly what we want. And so when we get a contract, we can actually make comparison. We had two different bids, they were way off, way over budgeted, and we tabled that, making a decision on the library, because we just didn't have
So
the
why
right
are we
information.
talking about the library?
We're not.
It said here that we're just talking
About the
Town office is this building.
And that's what I'm talking about. And for the public, I'm trying to keep the public informed. And so we have two quotes that we had on this town offices here.
Yep.
One quote, as you recall, was for $7,000. The other quote was for 72, no, it was a little more than that, was it?
That was 7,200.
I thought it was 14,000, I may be wrong, that's the
No,
only one I could find
it's-
here.
14,000, you'd have to put it out for a.
Yeah, they were both under 10, right?
Yeah, one was 7,200, I think the other was 74, and one was.
I didn't get these
7,000.
electronically, by the way.
I don't think I scanned anything, I apologize,
All right.
been a busy week.
Well, obviously we can't make a decision on that tonight.
Here, why you won't put that one back in there? Was it in that one?
Was it in this one?
No, there's two of them. These are the two quotes we have.
And then there's the third one
The
from.
third one was for, we might ask the other gentleman who only bid on one side of the building.
Yeah, that's what I thought we were gonna do.
Okay.
We were gonna ask that gentleman to bid on the whole
Well-
building, 'cause he only did one side.
Right. That's Mr. Tuttle. I'd like to have him bid on the entire building. It's kinda,
So, why don't we go down that path, Mike, why don't we have Tuttle bid on the whole building instead of just one side, cause it
I
might
just
have
said
been
that.
higher.
I just said that, yeah,
So if we'll do that, then we can review all three of them?
that's correct.
Okay.
That's what I'm recommending.
Okay, in the meantime, I'll scan them too, because we have to develop an RFP that I'll start a draft on.
Yep.
Did someone say that they had? I think it was recommended that I
Yeah, that's
show
what
the
it was.
RFP.
The third one was 14,000.
That's what
This one was 7,000, this one's 7,200.
that, but it was only one side
No, yeah, but he, on his paper that he included, it was, he had the two different sides were one price, and the two ends were a different price.
though.
It came out to 7,200.
So we're talking about two bids were very close.
Yes.
One was
Well,
72, and I think one I don't remember, I didn't, I
Those
don't
are
know
my
where the
scribbled notes.
papers are, but
Let me see.
one of them was sprayed and one of them was painted.
Oh, okay,
The title was sprayed.
and there's nothing in
And
there.
spraying, it's not the same as brush.
Let's see if I can find it here, two sides.
Oh, and one had oil-based primer, and one had latex primer, Bob.
Chip removal, 2 coats paint.
So even on this building, we might need to do some clarification to get them all on the same page.
Mm-hmm.
So we have the same primer.
Well,
Same.
the last time, there was no primer used at all in the building. And that's why we're in this predicament now.
Mhm.
So at least we have primer as a start.
All right, I'll have to look at those again.
The thing is, one of them made a comment on a certain, I don't know if it's oil-based, but one of them was making a comment on this type of primer. The thing is, I thought it sounded kinda interesting. I don't know if you ever heard of it. Reliable.
Yeah, that was Mad Dog primer, which was a water-based primer.
Have you heard of that?
I haven't. I have not.
Doesn't have to be oil-based. Based upon that, it sounded pretty awesome primer.
It does sound good,
But that's only words.
yeah, my grandfather was a professional painter, and Leo stated, you know, he's been painting his whole life, and I always know that if you do it with an oil-based primer, you go over with either oil-based or latex, but once you use a latex primer, you have to use just latex on top. But yeah, it did sound good in that
I
program.
mean, it sounds like it's like a miracle stuff. Miracle primer, they call it.
We have a lot of miracle stuff that doesn't actually work in New England though.
It's similar to
Yeah.
a miracle shingles for their.
Yeah, and then they don't work in New England, right, so.
I was just gonna say, isn't that what we put on the library roof a while back?
That's what I was thinking, the same thing too. Miracle shingles, last a lifetime.
I will agree, that sounds like it has every benefit we need, but,
Okay,
All right.
well, the thing is, would you not include this one then, if we could? we
no,
could
I
go
would,
back to them.
I would maybe get back to them with, you know, you have the quote from Tuttle,
Yeah,
have them all use an oil-based primer, and then have
Oil-based.
them all, if they're gonna spray at least back brush, I think we'd come up with a consensus that at least if they
You've
back
got one
brush
guy
it.
that's brushing it though, I gotta tell you, that's a lot better than spraying, 'cause
Yeah,
Okay,
usually you're one painter, you spray it and then you're trying to go back,
right,
and it's dry and spots.
all right, let's put the specifications down then. This brush, we're talking about brushing, oil base,
yeah, primer,
oil-based primer, a brush on.
so you want me to check with, so we only had one that met all these requirements?
I believe so, yeah.
Okay,
And since we're in public, we're not gonna say the price. Which one it was.
I think we may already have, but,
But the thing is, the brushing, the thing is, so everyone's gonna have to update their quotes.
okay, latex
You know,
base.
You can get to the point where you can negotiate with each one to see where you're gonna be. I mean, you have quotes, you can sit down and you can ask them if it's gonna be an extra to do something a different way, or where they can cut, but, I mean, a lot of the jobs I was on, you negotiated with the lowest 3 bidders, and we only have 2 here.
Well, the
It's
other
a
guy
chance,
only-
and they're
the other guy
close.
only bid on one side of the building, yeah.
Right,
But he has it in there, Bob said it's in the.
It's got it in there for
Very good quote.
14,400 to do
Oh.
the whole building here. The other 2 are 72 and 7,000.
Oh, okay, so he did have it in
No
there.
longer public.
So, but you know, you can
I'm gonna
talk to
bid.
either one of them.
I'm sorry?
I'm gonna bid. Now that I got the numbers.
Oh, okay. I don't know how we can correct that.
Can't. It's done.
It's done.
Well, you opened it and we explained that when we were discussing it in a public meeting.
Yep.
Those bids are the bids you got, and that's
Yeah,
why
they're
I'm,
sealed bids.
that's why I'm saying, we might wanna sit down with the 2 individuals
Yeah,
at
I
different
think we
times and negotiate.
I think we could do that on the.
One
two
of the
that are there.
selectmen, so it's not a public meeting, so you can have,
Yeah,
you know, some weight into what you want.
yeah, I think that's a good idea. Which one of us wanna take the task?
What we could do, well, the same person should do the 2
Yeah,
of them.
otherwise it'll be a mess
Yeah,
again.
yeah,
I've talked to them at least, all 3 of them at least one time. I'd be more than happy to do it.
Okay,
And just as long as I got the oil, brush, what else we wanna talk about, and lead, lead mitigation.
Yeah, which will,
They both have it
Right.
down, even though there's no, and
Mike, on
again,
the oil, it's
I wouldn't
only the
check,
primer
there's no
coat that's important,
standards
the top coat
for public
most likely
buildings.
will be a latex
Yeah.
coat.
And, time frame. What's our time frame? I just wanna give them a time frame now.
Well, before late.
Sooner than later,
Sooner than
because,
Can they finish it next spring if they have to?
I would like to.
they might be able to do it this summer, if you can catch them, I mean,
That's a point of negotiations.
I would like to try and get it done this summer if we could.
you know,
Okay,
Have one building done and clean like Bob said and not drag it to next year, because we're gonna have to address the other buildings
Alright,
next
what
year.
am I missing? Anything else I'm missing if I'm gonna talk to them? I just wanna make sure I got marching orders correct.
If they spray it on, as long as they back brush, I think I'm good with it, because I think that works just as well, because you're spraying it, getting the heavy coat on, and then you're back brushing it into all the cracks.
Okay. And so Lee, you work with me, we'll get some appointments set up for these people, we'll come in and we'll meet right here.
Yep.
And, it'd be great.
Yeah, so we'll just do those two that were the two lowest. We had sealed
Yeah.
bids, so.
So those two lowest
yeah,
we'll go
and
with.
they're below the 10 grand, so you don't have to worry that
Yeah.
way. you
Yeah.
know.
We just have to modify, one of them is using the wrong primer.
Application, or, yeah, the.
Both of those two,
And if he has a good fight on that primer, then maybe we'll listen to it on the next, selectmen's meeting, he could come in if he has strong feelings towards it.
okay,
Can you have some time to do this tomorrow, to schedule the appointments?
Yeah.
I'm sure we can try to reach them
Okay.
and,
make it happen sooner than later.
yeah, so maybe you'll have something for next meeting.
Okay.
That can be, those are my notes, but, right there.
Oh, this one here.
Yeah.
Gotcha. Try to mess me up, mess it up. Okay, general town business. That's the mailbox, we got a bunch of little things to go through.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
do you allow public commentary on any of the topics as you're discussing?
I do.
I have a concern about, well, let me start with a question. When you say you're gonna go talk to these other two low bidders, is there also an opportunity for them to modify their bid? If there is, then you need to talk to all three. You cannot single out just two. And if you're gonna allow them to modify their bid, you need to offer the same opportunity to all three. Otherwise, you're gonna be in violation of all
I would
kinds
say
of
they're gonna
ethics and
have
business
to, I
practice.
would say that they're gonna have to modify their bids, because we're asking them to do things differently than they
Right, then you
put
need
on
to
their
allow
bid.
the third the same thing, even though he came in higher, he may come back and come in with a lower number now.
Yeah, I don't.
You
care
can't
about the
exclude anybody from that. If you're going back and changing either the requirements or allowing them to renegotiate a bid
Okay.
based on changed requirements, you need to offer the same opportunity to all bidders, or you're in all kinds of trouble.
Good
Well,
point.
I have to say that, only because when we were in construction, we did a lot of public buildings. A lot of times you pick the two lowest bidders, and you can negotiate with either one to see if they have more movement in their number, so, you know, I don't think you'd be in violation, but if somebody's more comfortable with doing that, I don't have a problem. I don't think you're gonna get somebody to move more than half their number, but
Yeah, but if the other two now come back and say they're not gonna push, because you changed the requirements, you're gonna come back to 10 instead of the 7, and now you've got this guy at 14, if you give him a chance, he could come back into real play too.
That's the high road.
I think
That
you
was
run
your
a
suggestion,
risk.
taking the high road.
yeah,
Yeah,
but
you-
the only thing is, once they get to the $10,000 mark, Ron, then we end up having to do a whole,
RFP.
different process. of
Right, I
doing
understand,
it,
I'm just thinking of,
You know,
not only our ethics clauses, but everything that you have to treat all players equally. And if you're singling two out and you're changing the requirements, allowing them to renegotiate the amount they bidded, then you have to offer that opportunity to all three.
I don't have a problem talking to that third one if you want, Mike, and schedule all three of them, and that way.
I think that's taking a high road. And the thing is, I think Bob's right, he probably won't come back, but the thing is, at least we gave the
Yeah.
opportunity, and there's nothing wrong with giving somebody the opportunity, treating all equally.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah.
You know, they may not, but
I
at least
concur with that,
it solves us a problem down the road.
yeah. And a potential problem.
Yeah.
Even perception of a problem.
I did sign a bunch of those, so I think that I'll have to sign them.
Okay, yeah. All right, let's continue on. Tom, any other comments? That's good. Thank you. Good input there. Okay, we have a, aquatic permit, just an FYI. This is about the Gorham Pond with milfoil. Obviously, they're gonna do some treatments. It's been posted to the website. Have you seen it on the
Yeah.
website? And this was an FYI. Okay, we have, just an FYI too, we have, this is about someone coming down, to do some community service. Supposedly this has been done before, the precedent has been set where some of this community service can be done at the transfer station. I just gotta make sure that whoever supervisor realizes that she should not be put in the hazardous area. Should be sweeping and just general labor, but nothing in the hazardous area where steel toe boots would be required.
Yeah, no using the
mean,
compactors
safety
and all that,
shoes,
sure.
right. Exactly, that's for safety shoes. Okay, this is an FYI, came in mailbox, it's just a, wetlands permit.
Is that one for the bridge, Mike, or the?
Yes, it was. That's the good news. I figured the town agent would be here. Just an FYI, the bridge on Ray Road, permits are in,
Yeah, for Starkbrook.
and he's making the,
Oh, I did that one already.
he's making the appropriate, coordinations with the manufacturer of the item.
Yeah.
It's a precast bridge. And so that,
And they set the permitting up for him, so that's good news.
yeah, this is great news. I have a bottle of champagne ready to go, and the thing is just, I volunteered that. I'll be there, we'll be there for the opening, we should all be there.
Sounds good, I'll be there.
Okay. Right, that's gonna go on public. This part of the milfoil. That's just the map goes with it.
Did you talk about that one, the milfoil?
Did you sign this one?
Yeah, it is. It's just that there was an it should have been an attachment, I'm sorry.
I did see this,
Yeah, me
because
too.
this was in color before.
Yeah.
I think it was on our email, Mike, we were probably thinking about it.
I'm gonna finish the rest of the town business in a moment. I'm gonna follow I'm gonna push more town business to the bottom. I'm gonna allow John Stevens to come up and talk about lighting, fire station lighting.
Now?
Yes?
Oh, okay, thank you.
I did give you some paperwork in your packet.
Oh, I did see that, yep. Hi, John.
How you doing? Good.
Okay, John, tell us what's going on with the fire station contract.
Okay, we have, I did three requests for quote, and one of them said, no, this is,
Okay. And just so you know, John did send me the specs, but it's 17 pages long, so I only printed one
right.
as an attachment for the agenda, but if anyone
That one
needs
there
to look at it.
is from Ernie, he had that whole thing,
Okay,
Steve did something similar, but he did not list the actual,
models and whatnot.
right.
That shows all different types of lighting fixtures.
So we had one bid come back, they didn't wanna do it.
Right, Byron.
Okay. And.
Yeah, that is what I said him.
Yeah,
Also, what, this is the same thing that I sent to Steve Dodd and Erwin, Ernie. Just in case you wanted to know if they all saw the same thing. And the prices, there's a difference in the price.
Now, does he have, and when I'm saying he, I mean Dodd Electric, do they have the lift in theirs? Do you know, John?
He did not plan on one, he planned on a ladder as far as.
Oh, okay, so he wasn't gonna have that expense.
Right,
Okay, so that's part of the savings, okay.
right,
So he didn't need one,
right.
so we got two quotes in on it.
There's one lamp on the back which is up a little bit high. And I think Steve was either gonna use a ladder or possibly one of the, trucks, you know.
Fire trucks. That's real, that's saving some dollars right there.
That was never actually said, but you just kinda pick up on, yeah, he knows he's gotta get up there, and he's just been talking to the chief, and, you know.
But even, let's assume, Lean, you said for a lift, main lift, how much would it be for a rental?
Well, it's right on this.
No, but it's 500, but our cost,
Right.
we had another. we
Yeah, for the
ordered-
other project, it was less than $300.
Yeah,
For a week.
250 and then delivery.
Yeah. So we know if we have to provide that, that expense is known.
Right. But the other fixtures, the highest ones that are around 14 feet.
Okay, so,
Ladder territory.
Bob, do you have any questions on this?
Nope, because the two numbers.
I'm just worried about what was the budget on this one? What did we budget for this particular one? That was probably my question.
If you don't mind, I'll go get my
Okay.
notes, because I do
Just wanted to
have,
confirm that.
Now, while we're talking, while she's getting that, was this one of the items that was on the hot topics to do in the agenda from the previous year? Well,
Yes,
it was,
yes.
okay.
I think you worked on it a little bit last year, right?
Not really, no.
Was it this one
What?
that you worked on, some of this one?
No,
No?
that was the, library one. Lighting.
Yeah, but I thought you had done something with the fire station, police station. So,
Oh,
It saves
I,
spending
uh,
money.
Right. Yeah,
Brought-
this is come back to pay for itself
brought
partially
the
right
two,
away.
the two chiefs together.
Someone, you know, is not
And we,
working.
walked around, and then I asked them what they wanted.
Only real safety.
And then that, what they wanted turned into this list of requirements. Would you like to see those for any reason, what I actually sent?
I get, no, I trust that, but was there any opportunity to maybe get any, you know how we got a grant for the transfer station, I mean, for the.
Oh.
Garages, any possibility of grant or too small?
this isn't right.
It's more an issue of the,
These small
hybrid.
ones.
Oh,
type,
We had not,
like,
you did not budget this?
no,
currently, that's, basically, it's all, CFL. So when
Again,
you
we have
go to
like a
LED,
$10,000
there's a savings,
buffer.
but not like the savings you get
Yeah.
when you go
Yeah.
to,
The mercury lamps.
metal,
Yeah,
metal halide.
you get that?
Yeah, I checked with both, with, the two vendors.
I seem to recall you said that last time too.
And,
So
and
what
then
it is
also I
less than
called
half.
the guy who, runs that
Do you know what the difference is?
Eversource, William McCray, I think is his name.
I just think over
a
some.
few things,
What we
yeah.
were doing, and he says there's not a lot of need there, but the paperwork to process it will probably be
Dodge.
raises in several
You
years.
got
savings.
4913.
Yeah. Minus-
What was our budget, guys?
For that particular building, we had requested, replace bathroom door, repair paint trim on exterior, and then repair one exterior steel door for $26.50, and this quote less that brings us at $22.64 for excess of what was budgeted for that particular building.
So nothing was budgeted for lighting, in other words. it was all
Correct,
other
but
items.
what I was explaining to Bob is typically what we do is we go through this wish list and then we round it up, so we ended up going with almost 10 grand additional funding in the building maintenance to pick up incidentals.
Mhm.
At the last,
So we're
budget
looking
hearing,
at
Yeah.
we rounded it up. because we knew it was gonna
26.64,
cost
we round
significantly
it.
more for other
Right.
things.
So this is,
22.64 if we
this
round
would
it.
be something
Over
that
that building.
we might want.
No, we're
We
pretty
stayed in
again
the budget,
next
but we
year.
used his painting
Right.
up and everything else over there.
Correct,
Because we haven't done it, so.
yep, yep,
So we're
but
not-
those are things too, as the year goes on,
Unless we won't find out as
that's
we do it.
interior, that
maybe
isn't,
October review,
you know,
we
could be
more
done
likely
almost
spend
any
we commit
time.
for painting, for example.
this one, I think we're still waiting
Yeah,
on trying to get a repair.
This
quote
job,
from-
on, like the
employee
others, I mean,
Okay.
this, we have done several jobs under the energy committee. And this one here is pretty much not a issue of energy, so it's outside that sphere, but it's an issue of safety and all that
Safety
kind of
and dawn to dusk lighting in our safety building.
stuff. Right.
So the difference of what we budgeted for the building
Yeah,
is 2264
out of the,
out of what was allocated for that building.
over.
Right.
And now we have about $10,000, $10,000
Mhm.
for miscellaneous stuff that we knew would be coming up.
Yeah.
And this would be coming out of that extra 10,000.
Yeah, because there are other items within the other lines that are coming in a little bit lower.
For example, the library door was never, needs replaced, that's several $100s.
Right.
And that's a security issue too.
Now,
Right, and that's not budgeted, but will have to be addressed.
Right.
no, it was on their budget, I think, on their building.
Lighting, we're not gonna do the lighting, and so
Yeah.
1,250 would cover the door, I would
Right.
think.
I thought the door was on your list to do, because it was brought
Raise air
in.
conditioner,
It came in
we
after-
saved
after fiscal year.
$500,
Oh, it did.
thanks to you, Bob, for
Yeah,
raising the
calendar.
air conditioner.
That's when it was brought up too.
So,
What was the lighting that you're talking
remember
about?
you had originally done some lighting changes for the library?
The timer and the switch in the basement,
And we decided to put it off because the potential for renovation,
Of the whole
and we
building.
fixed
Yeah.
Oh,
the
yeah,
issue.
but, Steve Dodd, he'll be doing the porch and ramp lighting still, all right?
Oh, is that what the 1250 is for? In the budget?
I don't remember the number right off the top of my head, but that was already approved, and he'll be doing it towards the end of this coming week, or
Okay. That's good to
the week
know.
after.
Yeah, that's good to know, because it's
Yeah.
really already expended.
but still, we do have the money in the budget for this, and the question is, do we wanna expend it on this lighting, finish the lighting on the safety center?
Well, my feeling is that is our public safety building, which in any type of emergency, police and fire is the number one building that needs to be able to operate during a storm with emergency lighting and dawn to dusk lighting inside and outside when they approach the building.
Right.
So my feeling is that we should probably move to the top of the schedule and try and get it done, but
Looks like some of those lightings too, John, will probably cast lighting towards the back of the building on the side of the school.
yeah, it looks like
What?
that big one up on the gable end,
The
right?
G will cast, the school is over here.
Oh, expose those leaves on the air conditioner.
Now I know what you're looking for, the,
You gotta let that stuff.
one that is high up, out on the back is F,
F, okay.
right. And a couple of these,
I can see them right there.
couple of the other fixtures, the issue with those is they have basically failed anyhow. So they need new
Fixtures.
right?
It's not just, they're not merely, put in a new light bulb in, it's fixtures included,
Yes.
yeah. Dave, I agree with you. Safety center, Bob.
Well, at some point in time, we gotta get something done,
Right,
instead of putting everything off and not getting anything
I don't
done.
wanna wait till winter.
There is money there,
Mhm.
So,
and, if you can revamp this so that we have a sheet that shows us what we've done
Yeah.
and what's left,
Yeah.
a sheet that has what's left, that would give us a little bit of
Okay.
insight, but
I can put
I
it
think
on
we
the
gotta get
spreadsheet.
something done, guys.
Yep,
all right, then I'll like to make a motion that we, execute on the lower, the Dodd contract for $4,913.69, and to correct the lighting situation at the safety center,
the exterior lighting.
exterior lighting.
I'll second the motion.
Any further discussion on this? I'd just like to say, John, thank you for your hard work as a volunteer doing this. We appreciate the energy committee stepping up to the plate here.
Well, when I retired as an engineer,
Yeah.
I
Do you wanna sign your list right there and I'll scan it?
Well, it
for
helps
you
us
tomorrow?
out substantially, not having to chase these guys
Oh,
down, so it's a lot of legwork that you're doing for us.
Okay.
And making sure they're apples for apples too.
But I did a lot of the stuff while I was working, so it kind of falls in easier than it might to other people too, so
Right.
it just seems like a reasonable thing to do.
Okay, now, I'm gonna call for a vote, all in favor of excusing?
I,
All right, thank you. Good work, John, again, thank you, and we will make it.
Yep.
Just, cause we needed, three.
Yep.
That's,
The third one.
that's Byron saying no, and this, except for the photo did not print out fully down here, that is what all.
All three, voted on, okay.
Three of them got.
All right, great, I'll put it together, all right,
that one's the one, single signature.
okay.
Thank you, John. You may wanna listen to this though.
Huh?
We had a presentation this past week to the tax collector and tax, from.
Assessing, right?
So tax assessing on Granite State Power Line. We had our lawyer, Mr. John Susi,
Well, he's the utility assessor.
right, utility assessor came in. It was I think it was a great overview by that attorney, who was basically, I think, an advocate for this town. This Granite State Power Link is basically an upgrade to the existing power lines which go through Dunbarton. It's a competing option to Northern Pass. So if you're against Northern Pass, this option is on the table. And with the deciding factor whether this option goes or not, or whether Massachusetts is has requests for proposals of bringing so many megawatts of power down to southern New England. And if this company gets it, then this may be on the table as a truly viable option. They're required to talk to all the towns, and we were one of many towns they talked to where the power lines go through.
Yeah.
And they're gonna be required to do a public meeting where the public is invited, and the public can say yea or nay, who they like, and they ask questions. So anticipate the next, I'd say, 2 to 4 weeks, we're gonna be contacted, and there's gonna be a public presentation by this committee.
And are they gonna do it before they start their widening of the current power lines, Mike? Did you?
They're doing engineers, sending out engineers now to basically engineer it.
Yeah.
There's gonna be some height in some places where the lines would sag, the heavier lines would sag, there's gonna be some elevations. They anticipate 5 to 15% of the power towers will be upgraded. And that, what it does is when you upgrade a power tower and add new lines, it resets the property value of that particular item. And so we get, the town raises the tax benefit, the taxable amount that they're worth more because they're upgraded. And so,
But widening the power line wouldn't come into effect unless they get the project.
Right.
Yeah, I didn't understand that to be the case. It sounded like they might widen them to their maximum width anyway, from reading the letters, just so that they had them widened to their full.
His presentation was, that, you know, if they're chosen,
Yeah.
that's what would happen. But if they're not chosen, then it's gonna stay the way
So
it is
the engineers
now.
that are out there now from this company or a different
yeah,
one?
they're from this company, and this company is National Grid. Now, the thing is, there's another power line that comes through town from the Bow Power Plant, different company, that's not PSNH, but Eversource. And they are cleaning up, they're going out to the maximum of their easements.
Okay, that might be what I'm talking
And
about.
they're cleaning, they're actually widening it to the maximum of their easement, so this is a cleanup of their easement.
The one out of Bow, is that, Unitil, cause.
No, that's Eversource.
Which is the main server for this town?
It's called New England Hydro, AKA this company, AKA
Okay.
Eversource, from my understanding.
And not this
Okay,
one.
it's-
This
Yeah,
is,
Granite Power is one and the same.
no, well, this is National Grid though.
Oh, then it's National Grid, Eversource, and
Right. But,
Granite State.
but this is a competing, shall we say, competitor to
That's
the
what you
gas.
forwarded to me. that
Yeah,
was right.
yeah.
And you should have gotten something in the mail, all the butters to the power
Yeah,
line should have
no,
gotten
I
something.
mustn't have that one, cause I didn't get it.
It's one of 4 competing
Proposals.
proposals that are going there.
And believe it or not, that one right there would actually bring revenue to Dunbarton. And it would also stop Northern Pass.
And if you wanna know which pieces of property I just so happen to have in the car, the map that with all the town properties marked on it.
The other thing is, they also alluded to the fact that if Northern Pass prevails, this is just, the need for electricity is gonna expand in southern New England, so this may be on the pipeline for a couple of years from now. So it's not a dead issue, it just may be delayed several years too. So that was interesting talk, I just wanted to bring that up to everybody. Okay, so I just thought I want you to.
Oh, yeah, thank you.
All right.
See you tomorrow.
Leanne, I'm gonna ask you for some assistance, am I missing anything out of the inbox? I think I got everything out of the inbox.
Let's see here. Community service, the others are just personnel related.
Right. And,
Email from Donna Dunn.
I didn't talk about that, it's gonna be in public session. Non-public. Non-public, okay. Okay, I think we're ready to go to non-public. All right, I'd like to go to non-public for RSA 91 alpha.
Do you wanna do a more public comment one more time before we do that? or-
Oh, and I'm sorry.
Nothing.
May I just interject for just 1 second? You said you wanted to talk about your agenda.
Yeah, I'm gonna hold off on that.
Okay, do we want to set a workshop meeting for July or August?
Well, that's what I wanted to do, I wanted to talk about that earlier.
Well, why don't you bring it up now?
Now you can bring it up.
Okay.
I'm not gonna get my hands slapped, am I?
No,
You bring it up.
Is it today's the
And
29th?
we have to do this too.
Do what?
We gotta sign some of these things.
Oh, can I also have you recognize Brad Joel? Did we do it in a public meeting
We
already?
did that already. We
Okay, I
gotta
just need you
sign
to
it.
sign that for me.
Yeah, we need a motion on it.
Yeah, so let's do these before we go
Yeah.
on. And get public comment one more time.
And then
Person.
you missed one of my requests. So this is 32 hours next week?
I wasn't gonna do that one though.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna need to schedule a workshop.
For the warning on public, just turn the camera off.
Take it down because they don't come back.
I'm gonna make a motion that we
To make sure that
accept George Holt as a representative to the Central New Hampshire Regional Planting Commission. Term ending May 2021. And also make a motion,
you don't need those three signatures.
let's do that one at one time, right?
You can do both.
Oh, we can. And then also make a motion that Ken Swayze be a representative to the Central New Hampshire Regional Planning Commission as well. Term ending May 2021. All three selectmen have to sign that, Mike?
Yep.
Yes, but the thing is we need a second.
You made a motion, is that a motion?
Yep, for both of them.
On both of them?
Yes.
Okay, well, usually do one, but that's okay, I'll
That's what I was
second,
gonna do.
I'll second both of them.
Okay,
Discussion, this was brought up at the planning board this week, there was no issue with that.
okay.
And so,
You were at that meeting.
I was at the
Mike.
meeting, and so it was, they said that was who they wanted, and there was no issues, and these are volunteers.
Yep.
And then, no further discussion, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Yeah, you should do those separate motions when you do.
I tried to, but my chair fixed me.
But the
You do?
We had to let him win one tonight.
the only reason I
But
say
it's
that
the
is
same
because,
committee
if you
we've
remember,
done,
we have,
like,
stacked of
Many
them.
names for like the theater,
Yeah, I think on this, because they're similar, I think
and
it's-
then, no? Do you need to do them separately?
No,
we did a whole bunch together.
we did a stack of them before.
When
Yeah,
we did
if it's
like
the same
planning,
committee,
yes.
then it's,
If it's not a committee we're in charge of.
that's right, you know,
Oh, I
you did need to sign it though.
gotta.
This is nice.
If we have a frame
I'm
for
gonna-
it, we put it in the frame.
Yeah, I'm gonna recommend that they hang it at the transfer station.
I just wanted to let you know that we signed a certificate of appreciation for Brad down at the dump. the transfer station. For all of his hard work, we've got a letter, at our past meeting that we read and was put in his file, of a citizen thanking him for his service and always being there willing to help people, and no matter what it is, at the end of their tailgate, so, we thought we'd take the time and send him a certificate from the selectmen to,
Yes,
Especially when
appreciation for
the
that.
citizen took time to write
Yeah.
it, so I think it was only fair that we recognize him for it.
Yep, exactly.
And the thing is, he continues to do a great job down there.
so, when are we gonna present him with that?
I'm gonna go down Saturday morning
Okay.
before they open and, give it to them, so that,
I just wanna get a picture.
okay, I can do that.
Okay,
So this-
public comment, please. Okay,
And you had one more thing on your agenda.
You had a piece of paper, like,
this one?
I don't think it was that, it was your
Oh, yeah, it was my thing. We need to know
stuff you threw all around there. We were,
it's in the file. Oh, just put it down in angle.
it wasn't that.
you know,
I have my
I'm
copy.
gonna take the emotion out of this.
I did.
you know.
I have-
the one with the paper. I threw it right down to get rid of it. All right. Thing is, some words, first of all, I wanted to talk about the workshop. I thought it was a disaster. Okay, and what, it was a good learning experience, but I didn't think we accomplished as much as I wanted to accomplish. We had some discussion, I learned how we should have done it. And the first thing we're gonna do, we're gonna keep it open to the public, but we're gonna keep it closed to, public comment while we're working. Because we got too many distractions, more from town employees trying to put their 2 cents in what they wanted. We're just trying to knock out, we have so many opposing point of views between the two of us, we're trying to get to a consensus, and then we had someone, town employees handing us papers, interchanging that I want this, I want this. I don't mind it being open to public, but the thing is, public comment can come when we're trying to pass it, but the thing is, it was just a little, kept us off
We
track.
could take public comment all at once. I agree that it shouldn't be through the whole thing. It should be a time frame when we do it so that we can listen to it. And then we can act appropriately after that.
And then I thought the location was too small and the room was awkward to work with.
Yeah, I don't think that.
You had kept elbowing me the entire time.
We should have been in this room together.
Yeah,
Okay, so
Even if
ba-
we need to reschedule.
yeah.
so based upon that,
But I don't think it was a complete disaster. We
no,
went through a
but
lot of stuff.
we went through a lot of stuff, but the thing is, it raised a lot of questions that I have an agenda, and I realized next time we have a meeting, we're gonna go by an agenda where we can have specific things that we wanna address and attack, not just go page and page and go from here to there. I think we need to follow an agenda. So I put this as a draft agenda, and I share that with you, and I also share with our town administrator, that I need input, and we'll add, if you see something that we missed, we can add to it. So I threw out some of my ideas, and there is some wording changes that even talk about overtime and holiday time, we have to put some wording changes in to make it more specific.
What I'd like to do for the board is take what you have in draft from your workshop.
I thought you did that, I saw it.
I did, but no, that's in the minutes that you looked at, but what I'd like to do is to give you the actual either article or the page and what it will look like in the placement that I put it in.
Yeah, I thought that was gonna be what we were gonna do.
To just the sections that you tackled in the minutes.
Right.
Yeah,
And,
And actually, the personnel plan that's in my truck now, which I'll bring out next time,
yeah,
has sticky notes on the
yeah,
parts that need clarity, you
Yeah.
know?
okay,
That's
so you
all
wanna
right.
bring those to me,
I
then I
addressed
can
the
add them to
items
the
that I had
agenda
on mine.
for discussion at our next
But I'll be-
meeting.
Yeah, they're just handwritten notes, as to
Yeah.
what
Bob missed
You know
something.
what?
He didn't plan on
could
it.
or could not be.
Yep,
So Bob, you got more stuff on the sticky stuff?
yeah,
Add to
Yeah,
this.
yeah.
Okay, so the thing is, this is rough draft, and the thing is, if you have anything, Dave, you said you were happy, but the thing is, you may find something next week or two as you review it one more time that you may wanna address.
Oh, I'm not saying we shouldn't review it in the format like Lean's talking about.
Right, and that's number one right there.
Number one, I was looking at healthcare plan, what
No,
are these?
no, the healthcare, that's something that's, remember we were talking about that, that's part of the personnel plan, but we're gonna do that separately. The way
Yeah,
the
that's
health,
gonna be done in September, we've talked about.
August, late August, September, and the thing is, that's to be announced, because what we're waiting on, we need to get the insurance company that's gonna review all the plans and proposals, they'll come to us with information, we'll get a packet of information. we
In
can-
advance,
in advance, we can review it, the person will come to a select board meeting, and they'll present it to us, and we can have questions prepared and have all the questions we want before they come in. So that's all TBA in that time frame of late August, September. That's,
Now, you know, again, and I stress, I'd like to see it happen in August.
August, yep,
Cause we get into September,
Yep.
we get in the same bind
I'll
that
put my
the other
request in now, so
selectmen
we can
were
be
in
first on
before.
their
If you
list.
Remember,
Yep.
that by the time you make the change, you're losing a couple of months.
Yep.
Right, okay,
so that's to be announced, but August is a target.
That's fine.
Okay, and so that's the healthcare plan, which is really part of the personnel plan, but it'll be discussed separately, that's why I put that on there, I don't wanna lose sight of that. And then for the agenda for the workshop too, what we need to do tonight is just establish another date where we can come in and talk about these specific few clarifications we have to add to it. And you can look at them now, I don't think we have to talk about any of them now, because you're gonna have your own ideas what you wanna put in there. And I just found out number 9 was already, number 9 I'm gonna scratch from it, because it's actually already in our plan, in the fine print. Lean pointed it out to me, number 9. And that just says that, you know, the step increases that if the person receives, and this is the use of the evaluation, if a person receives an unsatisfactory evaluation, he doesn't qualify for the step increase. And that's in the fine print, but the thing is, it's there,
If they do the evaluation.
if they do the evaluation. Because the default is, you never evaluated me, so I must be doing a great job, I want my step increase. And then we have nothing but egg on our face for not doing the evaluation.
and just for the record, the majority of us are already at the top step, so it wouldn't apply to us. It's for-
Pay rates for all positions, didn't I see that you guys reviewed that last year?
We did, we expanded on our,
Police department and transfer station.
well, we had to start with a wage scale, and originally it was just applied to full-timers and elected officials that are regular employees. And then it came up with the issue of being able to track what we're paying our part-time employees and what was fair to have that part-time employee be here for a long term. So we kind of followed the same format with new hire at this rate and or new hire at a different rate based on their expertise, and then the increments of 2 years and 5 years. So I think it's
Yeah,
a good tool, and then any of our CPIs that we have, we update all of the rates at the same time. So it's never getting behind again in the future when we find that we're not comparable in offering our potential new hires with a rate that's outdated, basically.
And actually, I was in the audience when they changed that scale, but they were competitive.
Yep.
With a lot of the surrounding communities, and even some that were a little larger than Dunbarton.
Yeah.
We were competitive.
Number 7 you were alluding to tonight. Thing is, I was asking the question that, who should be working on a holiday in this town of Dunbarton? Why do we have to pay time and a half? And it came to my conclusion, well, I'd want the police working, agreed, it's public safety. I want the, if it's a snowstorm, I want the, if it's a holiday, I want that plow guy out there working.
Well, it was set up, if it was requested by your department head, is how we had it in our writing.
No, we didn't have, well, the thing is, I want pre-approval by the town administrator.
Can I ask you a question?
Sure.
Is this something we can review that's your comments? Mine are different, so
Oh.
mine are gonna be different when we go. And I'm sure, Dave, you may have some differences, so rather than going through yours.
No, the thing is, these are all draft comments. The thing is, I look forward, we're not gonna really discuss that one tonight.
That's what I'm saying.
Absolutely,
Rather than discussing each
Right.
one.
No, I just pointed out, Dave wanted to vote on one on tonight, and I said we're gonna hold off on that. So, bottom line, this is a draft.
Yeah.
Add your comments to it, if you have any. But what I want tonight is, give me a second date, that's convenient to you all.
All right, schedule for July, the board meets on the 13th of July, the 27th of July, the 10th of August, and the 24th of August.
So do you wanna
Do you wanna look at, do you have a calendar in your phone that you keep track of things, Dave?
Yeah, it's in my truck.
Or do we wanna do what you did before and keep it away from a board meeting and pick a day during?
I think pick a day and keep it away from a board meeting, I think myself. I
Did
don't know.
you like it in the afternoon like we did, or you wanna have an hour earlier?
3
I
o'clock?
think it worked okay.
3 o'clock worked out okay for you?
Is a Wednesday fine for you, or Do you
I
have a
think,
preference?
They're both retired, so I think they're leaning on you for.
I have,
for-
I have a Wednesday sales meeting, which is
Okay.
second week of the month, if we stay away from that.
Yeah, we can stay away from there.
So
Do you wanna do it on the Thursday before our Thursday meeting?
Yeah, that's fine.
So 3 PM on a Thursday before the 27th, so what
Okay.
day is that? That's the
Three-
20th,
What was that?
July 20th?
There's no meeting that evening.
That's correct.
So that's
Right.
good, no,
So
no
we
other
just
board
do-
is in
We
here,
would
so
do
we
it
can
on a
meet in here.
Thursday that has no.
No
selectmen's
meeting, just so
meeting.
that we have, okay.
Yeah.
So July
20th,
20th,
at 3 PM would be earlier than later.
Can I see that calendar?
right there to your left. And that would be the third week. You said the second week is,
13th you're meeting, the regular meeting.
okay.
So I think the 20th might be okay, the last week of that month I'll be off, so 3 PM, July 20th. And we'll reschedule if there's a problem, but 3 PM,
Yeah,
July 20th.
We'll pencil that in.
Workshop, okay,
Workshop 2. Personnel plan.
okay. July 20th. All right,
Yeah, notice you didn't put anything on here in reference to the, changes we made to the,
Some of them were good, so I had them,
the changes with, yeah, so you'd only change the other ones.
right, I mean, I only looked at things where I still had, I still had some issues with. In other words, remember we were talking about on-call stipend? I mean, the stuff that the chief gave us tonight was great, and others explained that officer in charge and all that kind of stuff, so that kind of adds clarity to what we were
Yeah,
talking
that
about.
did have a lot of clarity to that.
And like, you know, I asked the question, if you're on call, can you be in Bermuda or Bahamas? I think you gotta be geographically in the area, and you also have to be, if we're gonna do anything on call, you have to also be, ready to work, free from the influence of alcohol and drugs.
So at that previous meeting, I had an agenda of things that I had issues that people had brought up from different town departments and agencies and
Yep.
department heads that I focused on in that policy and procedures. And we went through most things that I had, and I see now that you're gonna have some more things, Bob's gonna have some more things. So if we each have our list, like Bob says, then we'll go in and we'll hash out each area. You know, we'll do the common areas, then we'll do the ones that we don't have common
Well,
areas. but
what I would like is if you can jot some down, I don't care if it's handwritten, just give
I
me
have
something.
mine jotted down, but the thing is, we've got it, like Bob said, we keep kicking this down the road too, we should act on some of these, because it'll just keep getting kicked down the road, we're gonna be in our budget, you know.
That's why on the 20th, that's why I'm calling for the second meeting, because I wanna get
Yeah,
this
so I'm
done.
hoping at the selectmen's meeting, after that meeting, we can make, you know, even if it's not all of them, say we have 4 items we've all agreed upon, and we wanna make the changes on, we do those 4 items, it might be 2 or 3 that we don't have enough clarity on to decide, but we should do the ones that we can.
I agree, but the thing is, that's why I wanna have at least one agenda we can follow to the book.
Yep.
And go right down, check mark, finish it, and then move on, and get to a point where this is good enough to go to vote.
Yep.
Agreed? Yep. Okay. Date set, in pencil for now, you could just give us feedback, but.
Yeah, I think we get a little closer here, but I think that I can make it.
You
He's
know
more
what,
flexible than you are.
can I ask one favor? I know I took these minutes and whatnot, but I guess where I'm going with, and I think you coming up with this new agenda of,
It's draft.
my question then would be, if we have something that we're definitely on board, and we don't wanna make a motion yet, maybe the board can reach a consensus.
Now,
So
would
that
we-
can get worded into the minutes so that we know we can refer back to it.
We
that-
have somewhat of a consensus from the last meetings, and some of those, we could start some of that wording, so we could kind of review the wording.
I'll do
at
that,
meeting.
I'll do that tomorrow,
Yeah.
for sure, yeah.
First, because if some changes made, we're good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so, you know, if you have part of that wording done, that might help us to look at them real
Right.
quick.
Okay,
Right, and that's the first thing I said, I mean, that's.
And I think you did a good job in the review of the minutes, so I think you're hired again to do the minutes.
I may have to do these minutes, you know, I just got a note that she's very, very ill and she's not available, so.
Oh.
And I go on vacation after tomorrow, so,
Now,
Don't be
how about your
surprised.
help in there, can they help you with the minutes?
no, I asked before they refuse.
Either one?
It would be the same stipend that we offer Corin to do it.
I don't think that's a
It
problem.
would be after hours, because
Well, you can only do so much, Lean, so I think if we need to do that, we're already paying the stipend out anyway to do the meeting minutes.
Right,
Whether it's a second or third person doing it, I don't know how these guys feel, but I'm okay to having them done.
okay, cause right now I don't,
At least these minutes, I'm not talking about the meeting minutes for this policy and procedure,
mhm,
cause you're already in the loop on all that and the wording,
mhm,
so. But we're already paying a stipend,
yeah.
doesn't matter who we pay it to, or it doesn't say.
No, I can ask, again, we have to have your minutes draft at least in 5 work business days.
That's what I mean, so if you don't have help to do it and you're going on vacation, we should address it right now.
Well, I'll tell you one thing, in order for you to comply with your 5-day request, I will work on the minutes, even if it means working on vacation. I won't be happy about it, but it'd be something I have to do.
Okay.
When do you arrive back? July?
Tuesday, the 11th. I
So
think.
you'll check on that tomorrow?
Yeah.
And see, cause I'd like to make it so you don't have to work your vacation if you can help it, it doesn't make a lot of sense.
It's either that or drop the changes to the personnel plan that you wanna see and take care of the minutes.
Well, I'll have
Oh,
to
the
look at-
personnel
Put it
plan's a
in the
long
back
ways
burner.
away,
Put
so
it
that's
on the
all
back
about.
burner.
Right,
Back
that's
up.
why I say,
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't need to see those right away, Bob.
so rather, yeah, but she
Okay.
was gonna work on that tomorrow.
Yeah,
So
just while it's fresh in
versus-
my mind, but it is in the minutes, I can work with it, you'll correct me if they're wrong, but,
I wouldn't worry too
Put that
much
on
about,
hold.
about the personnel
No, I wouldn't
much as
either,
I do the minutes.
cause we're not meeting till the 20th, so that's.
This way, if things don't work out, at least you have the minutes done,
Okay.
you know.
alright, I'll see how she's doing with, how she's feeling and if she's able to do it or not. But, and I'll ask the other 2 employees if
Yep,
they're.
if you need to pay the stipend to the others, I don't have an issue with it. What
yeah.
is it, $100 a time?
Mhm. And there is a lot of time involved with, this was my primary reason for doing this mailbox list,
Yep.
cause this would be forwarded to Corin to help her. You know, I've numbered them that you talked about, this one first, this one second, this one third, cause my order may not have been in the order that you talked about it, but
Yeah.
it just helps them get through the minutes a little bit. This is very
Okay.
time consuming, you have to back up and listen it over and over, so very
Okay.
time consuming, so I'll do my best.
Okay, before I, close it, the public session, any last things for the public session? I'll go around Bob first.
I'm all set.
Can I just look at my sheet real quick, just to make sure I'm listening to
Who's
you?
looking first?
Okay, yeah, again, you came up with your agenda, I have items to recommend that I may implement them how you have, and I'll show you my recommendations on, the reporting procedure and the
For
the
abuse.
vacation, how you had asked me to add a line, there's another format that I'm recommending, that would keep it in the chart, so that it's there, you know, it's in a big chart, and then just word that 2 weeks after hiring anniversary date, rather than add another line, so it's specific and very clear.
Alright, yes, we'll just bring that up at that 20th
Right,
meeting. Yeah.
So I'll put it in the final format, the way it was in the minutes, and then I'll show you the examples that I have, and you could decide then.
Yeah, if you
um,
wanna do an A and a B, we could say the B looks better, whatever you
Yeah,
wanna do.
that's fine.
Whatever
And
you
then,
have time for.
just to, remind the board, we did send out certified mail to Scores Construction. It went out in the mail on Thursday by the attorney's email, so he has until July 8th for a 30-day period, so we'll just have to wait until
I've
we
been
hear
checking
back.
with Lean every week to see if we get anything.
Nothing,
Yeah.
nothing yet.
Also, I wanted to let the board know that because I'm on vacation, and, that would only leave Allison alone in the, payroll accounting department, she's already requested to leave early after she's completed the accounts, the payroll. Accounts payable can be held off until Wednesday's shift. So she's sent out her memos to the staff that she'd like to get, payroll timesheets in as early as possible on Monday. So where typically that office is the go-to office where people ask for questions, and this is the time of the year people are paying taxes, I'm gonna post the office is closed. She's planning on being here no more than 3 hours, so that will allow her quiet time to really process and get her payroll done properly.
But the tax collector be here, I've seen a stream of people coming to pay taxes.
Okay, so going forward with that, the town clerk's office is still scheduled to be open, her regular 7:30 to 3:30, and then the building department will be open 8 to 4. I to Judy that I was on vacation and that office would be closed. She said it's possible that she may, attempt to come in for a few hours Monday morning, but she did put notice on the tax bills that she will be here all day Wednesday,
Okay.
when they're due the 5th. So,
Okay, and I think just make a note to make sure that that door is
locked and signed.
closed and locked, at
Yep.
least so that,
Yep.
you know, we don't have people traveling in there when we can't see
Cause
them,
they
so-
will, cause
Yeah.
if the door's not locked, they'll open the door.
Especially these are special circumstances when there's nobody gonna be around, so.
Yeah,
Yeah,
Yep.
agreed.
I'll do that. And then, let's see. That's it, we're closed on Tuesday, we have that posted, so I think we've covered it. Or I've covered everything I need to talk about.
Okay,
Just so Dave, so you know, the air conditioner at the library's fixed, they all did that this week.
Oh, great.
And then I moved all the leaves from the chief's air conditioner,
How's
and I
this one
put the
going?
insulation back on the pipe,
Yeah,
but I guess,
Mike Underwood will
Mike
be there
Underwood's gonna
tomorrow.
come back and clean it up, and his excuse was the school, when it's in operation, he makes too much noise,
oh,
that's why that's left behind. But, you know, maybe, you know, if we're bumping into him, we're talking to him, that could be done on a Saturday, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Cause that cleanup, I gotta tell you, you're right, when he said there was almost 2 feet of leaves there, you know?
cause
it's
Mike
not-
is generally pretty good with
Yeah.
getting this stuff
Oh, yeah.
cleaned up, you
Yeah.
know?
You know, a cigarette and that, and that's
Oh,
the
yeah.
whole length of the building.
Wow, it's a whole
You know,
lot.
and I'm sure, after looking at the stairs coming out the back, I'm sure that they'd like to have another building.
Yeah. Bob, did you know, did the brush and leaves get removed from the
I
cemetery?
don't know.
Okay. I'll take a try and check it tomorrow if I have
Well,
time.
we'll see I'll see one of the cemetery trustees tomorrow
Okay,
at Men's Coffee,
all right,
so I'll see what they decided.
all right. I'd like to know how that's all panning
Yeah.
out, 'cause that was on the schedule for quite a while.
I'm just waiting for some action out of that
Right.
elected committee. Or board, elected board, is incorrect. Okay, we also go to the non-public?
No, you want.
I already did, I did.
Yeah, we did ask one time, but nobody had anything.
If you'd be so kind, sir, we're done.
You're
Okay,
gonna say what
did you make a
RSA?
motion?
I'm gonna make a motion, we're gonna go to non-public per RSA 91 alpha, :3, Roman number 2, letter C.